Hi, Fishman. How you doing?
How are you?
Good, good, good to see you again here. So we are in the, huh?
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. We're in the really crazy situation here in Melbourne, Australia. Everyone should wear a mask regarding of coronavirus, and we are in the curfew time right now. Anyways, I'm glad to see you here again on my show. And so tell me, what you're gonna play today? What you're gonna perform?
I'm gonna play an inspired piece by Maestro Hussein Alizada, which he played in Nava concert. So it's part him, part me, and I hope you enjoy it.
I'm sure. By the way, Pejman is from Kurdistan in Iran, so I'm having him from the other part of the world. Whenever you're ready, please start.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. It's a very good question. We're locked down here in Melbourne, which is crazy. And as you can see, I even everywhere is closed. I can get a haircut. So, and we're all locked down here in Melbourne. But it's a new kind of life experience. So, how have you been?
I've been good. Taking it day by day. Trying to find the silver lining in this pandemic and being in quarantine.
Right.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for being here actually on Borna Kazerani's show, second season. So before, I've got lots of questions for you here. So before we're gonna start, so do you want to say hi to those who are watching us now?
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Paige Fraser. I am originally from the Bronx, New York, currently residing in Chicago, Illinois. And I'm a professional dancer, performer, choreographer, teacher, and scoliosis advocate.
Perfect. So, Paige, when I look at your dance like images and movies, I see nothing but love and perseverance in your performances. Where does all this love for dance come from?
Good question. So I actually started dancing when I was 4 years old. My parents put me into dance because I was constantly dancing around the house and begging for them to put on the radio.
Right.
And my mom, there was a ballet studio conveniently located right near her job. So she signed me up for dance, and I haven't stopped since. I've been dancing my entire life, basically. And as I got older, I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the focus, the discipline, just being able to kind of tune out everything else going on.
Right.
Focus on this one thing. And I remember when I was around 9 or 10 years old, I was cast to play Clara in The Nutcracker. And that was like a really big turning point for me because it's, for those that don't know, it's a pretty big deal to be Clara. And then also to be an African American playing this role. And I just remember wanting to make everyone proud, my teachers, my parents, and I loved the feeling of being on stage by myself. So I really think that moment was like the initial like spark, just being on stage and having that moment as Clara really just led me to where I am today. I took it even more seriously, and just continued to dance and train and work really hard. And I went on to continue to study dance in high school. I went to a performing arts high school in Manhattan and danced 5 days a week and continued on that path through college where I also danced 5 days a week. And my senior year of university, I was picked to be a member of Ailey 2, which is a junior company to the world-renowned Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. And I got to travel the world with this company. So that was like my first professional job. And it took me to Europe several times and also around the United States. So dance has just always been a part of my life.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So yes, as you mentioned, so you're a professional dancer and have been on stage for many times. So you've been working with lots of famous and also non-famous people, mainly in the state. And I want to take you back to those years when you were a beginner. And why dance? Why dancing? What happened? So what were you looking to find in dance?
That's a good question. I think you say why. I think it was just in me. I was born to dance. Clearly, my parents, they saw that I was like always dancing around the house and just this longing to be dancing to music and moving my body. But I think as I got older and I had the choice to say yes or no, I loved the discipline. I loved just having a routine. I was that student that would go to school, academics, and run home to do my homework so that I could go to dance. It was just something I needed to do. And I think later on in life, when I turned 13, I was diagnosed with scoliosis, which is a curvature of the spine. And that was a really, really difficult time for me because I was just beginning high school. As I mentioned, I was attending a performing arts high school. And you're a freshman in high school, just making friends, growing into your body, and then boom, you're told you have this condition, this spinal condition. So for me, I realized how important dance was because there's many opinions and viewpoints on this when having scoliosis. Some think that dancing is bad, but in my practice and in my process, I've realized that dancing has been very helpful. Movement is very helpful with any kind of spinal condition because if you think about it, if you don't move, then you are in pain. You become stiff, you become achy. You need some kind of movement, and I'm so grateful that I had dance before I was diagnosed because I understood my body. I had an awareness. I had an understanding of what posture was. But to counter that, here I am dealing with this condition and I'm in dance and you need perfectly aligned shoulders and perfectly aligned ribs and perfectly aligned hips. And with scoliosis, your spine is an S. So I was working extra hard to keep up with my classmates and extra hard to just make it as a dancer. So again, I'm so grateful that dance was in my life because even now, as I'm getting older and in this pandemic, I'm realizing how important it is to move your body and to breathe through movement. And it's been so therapeutic and healing for me as someone with scoliosis.
That's very interesting, and that's one of my was one of my question because when I was reading your biography on your website, I was impressed with lots of achievements you made, and also I'm glad you mentioned that. So. In 2017, it was one of my one of those last question, but because you mentioned that I like to talk about that, I don't want to just move away. So, in 2017, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay. In 2017, Paige founded the Paige Fraser Foundation, a non-profit that aims to bring awareness to dancers with disabilities, which I didn't know. Like I thought, well, that's very nice of her, but I didn't know that actually she is one of those people. And Paige, I am so proud of you, and I would like to congratulate you for such doing this such amazing things. So, but talk to me about this foundation, please.
Yes. So the Paige Fraser Foundation was launched in 2017. I am the co-founder, and it is a foundation that was inspired by my story, my journey as a dancer with scoliosis. You're talking like 16 years ago, and I was diagnosed, and we weren't as there wasn't social media, there wasn't Instagram. We didn't have that quick connection and sense of community. So 16 years ago, I felt very alone when dealing with this condition. And I found myself, as I got older and I became a professional, I would get many opportunities to talk and share my story. And there was just one interview, it just poured out of me. I was just very transparent about what I was going through with scoliosis. And that continued throughout my career, just constantly sharing my testimony. And I remember there was one day I was on the phone with my aunt, who is also the co-founder of the foundation. And she said, I think it's time for us, for you and for us to support you in creating something that is bigger than you and it can connect with more people. And that was what inspired the Paige Fraser Foundation. As you beautifully stated, our mission is to create a safe space for artists with or without disabilities. And I think that's really important because we don't want to just isolate. And through our programs, we have 2 programs currently, Dance is Healing and the Spine series. And Dance is Healing is a workshop offered to young dancers between the ages of 10 and 17. And it's a free program that we offer every year. And dancers with or without disabilities can come together in a safe space and learn from many of my friends and coworkers who have had incredible careers. And it's just a great way for these dancers to get a day of free training and also connection with these professionals. And Spine Series was actually thought of during this pandemic as someone with scoliosis and someone who regularly gets a massage or goes and takes Pilates, all these things that we couldn't do. You know, things are slowly opening up now, but it's not safe and some people don't feel comfortable. So the Spine series was an idea I had to just make everything virtual, but the things we're making virtual are rare things. They're specific things. They are yoga for scoliosis. They are gyrokinesis, which is a type of movement and back therapy that many people with scoliosis can benefit from, and scolio fitness. So all these things that are very, very specific and tailored to those with spinal conditions. So right now, those are our 2 major programs. Those that are interested can check us out, the Paige Fraser Foundation.org. And we have a lot of great ideas coming forward in the new year once we can hopefully return back to a sense of normal. But yeah, the foundation, we really just want to create and build a community so people feel understood, seen, supported, heard, a place where they can go with their questions. I get so many messages and DMs from people with scoliosis and asking, what do I do to help, and if I have pain. And I can only share, like, I've never had the surgery, but I still have a curvature, and I still have to take care of myself. And that starts with creating a regimen, and whether that's an at-home practice or going to a therapist, taking care of your spine is so important when you have scoliosis.
Okay, that's very understandable. So I didn't know much about that, and thank you very much. That's very, very interesting information. As far as I'm aware of your background teaching, so you've experienced running several workshops all around the world. You definitely know that each country's got its traditional dance and costume. So I want you to share some of your interesting experiences in this regard, like when you were in like Europe or when you were in Asia or etc.
Right. So I toured to Europe with Ailey 2. Which is the junior company to Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. We didn't do much exchanges with other companies or theaters out there, but I do remember going to to Paris and seeing West Side Story at the Opera House. And that was a really great experience for me, and also a full circle moment because West Side Story was actually the first musical I saw, but also, sorry, West Side Story was the first musical I booked and performed in. It wasn't the first musical I saw, but it was a nice connection to seeing it performed in Europe and then doing it here in the US, and the difference in obviously the costuming, the approach. The West Side Story I did here in Chicago was at the Lyric Opera, and they had more of a modern contemporary twist, and I was actually cast as a jet, which was pretty groundbreaking because if you know the story, it's Puerto Ricans versus Italians. So for me to be on the Italian side shows how the casting agents and casting directors wanted to diversify this show. So that was pretty cool to like be a part of history in that way. But I do remember when touring and being able to see other shows and other productions, just always feeling inspired. I loved being able to travel and just try different foods. A few years ago when I was traveling, I was very picky. Now I'm not as picky, but being able to travel, I recently, about 2-3 years ago, went to Haiti to teach dance, and being in their culture and learning and exchanging with the young students, it was super inspiring. I've taught in Jamaica, I've taught in Finland, in Greece. Like it's every place I've gone has taught me different things, and I have such a fond memory of the people, the food, the beautiful theaters. The one thing I loved about being able to travel was like our off day, and we could just do whatever we wanted and just explore. So I definitely can't wait to return to traveling. And I'm currently in the Lion King national tour. And even though we're traveling throughout the US, I've been able to visit some really cool places. So my debut was at the Boston Opera House, which was gorgeous. And yeah, that's one of the greatest things about being a performing artist is the traveling and having all these memories. And I look at my passport, I'm like, wow, I can't believe I've been to all these places. So it's definitely a blessing. And I think my top 3 places that I've been internationally would be Bermuda was gorgeous. Greece, being able to go to Greece and visit Athens, it was just like, wow. Definitely Italy. I love the food. That was incredible. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. So now I want to give you a break, and also this is the part that I know everyone likes for my show or from my show. That's the because as you know, this is the live biography of each guest who I invited to have a conversation here on Borna Kazerani's show. Now, as we made agreements, so I want you to take us with you and give us a tour or show us something that you have already prepared to show us today. So what have you got there?
Yeah, so in the beginning of quarantine, I was just getting really antsy. Again, I've been performing throughout all of my life, professionally since the age of 21. So being told we can't perform, it was just like, oh gosh. So in the beginning of the pandemic, I just went outside and would film myself dancing. And this very short piece is to an artist. Her name is Mariba. I really enjoy her music, but I chose this specific song. It's a poem entitled Dodging the Devil. And a friend of mine, Anna Long, she's a choreographer, she created the phrase. So she sent me a video, I learned it, and then put it to the music by Mariba. And you guys should look Mariba up. She's an incredible musician. And let me just get my computer together and I will show you this very short excerpt.
Sure.
It was definitely inspired by the I remember how I felt this day. There was a lot going on. There was a lot of unrest in the world. There still is, but there was a lot of unrest, and it was shortly after the murder of George Floyd, and the Black Lives Matter movement was really, really prevalent.
We will talk about that later.
Yes, so just so you guys know what was inspiring my performance of this. I hope you enjoy.
I'm sure we will.
Damn. You stuck dodging the devil the older you get. Youth grants grace. Growth grants grit. With that grit comes its known opposition, like addictions, evictions, convictions, lost visions, love riddled with truths hidden, world tripping. She's just glitching, man. Here come the devil. Talking to you with a smile and a shovel, ready to bury you and your little hustle. And give you some bills and a brand new muzzle. The piece of peace that you're perfect would release into the world would be a poison to the devil. So every chance is taken to take your light and sell it back to the sky. And for twice as high. You're wise now, don't know it. Don't plant a seed in your mind if you do not wish to grow it. Your fast motion kept them focused. Cash calls some people worthless, but what's just a hocus pocus? Pale folks, papas deem what work is. Broken people ain't always the brokest. As for the devil, show it. No ruler can size you. No ruler should rule you, but the one that never binds you. Realize too, all that will try you is designed to unwind you, define you, but you do get to decide if his tide will capsize you. The devil's been lied to. The devil could die too.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I loved it. That was very meaningful and powerful message. And also, I love whose voice was it? Is it your voice or just somebody else?
No, that's the artist Mariba. Yes.
Mariba,
So,
the one that you mentioned. Okay.
Yes. So
wow.
The name of that poem for anyone who just joined in is called "Dodging the Devil."
Okay.
Yes.
What else have you got on your desktop? Show us. I love it. I want to see more.
Oh,
Show
me. You're putting me on the spot here.
Show me. I love it.
I do have this other. I can show you this. Just bear with me.
I am. It's all about you.
So I have this other duet that I also did virtually with a friend of mine. We actually we are not in the same room, even though it appears as if. Please enjoy. Father, we don't need to waste the light. You see, war is not the answer. For all that love can conquer hate. You know, we've gotta find a way to bring some love in here today. Pick it light, brother, and put it silence. Sister, don't punish me. Brutality. Talk to me. So you can see, hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Yeah, what's going on? Can you tell me what's going on?
Wow.
Yeah,
well done.
That
done.
One, again, we got together through a video, and the way we edited it, it looked like we were in the same room, but we weren't.
That was amazing. Thank you very much for showing us that. Thank you. I wish I I wish I had a body like you. And if you were telling me that, if I didn't know that you were diagnosed with sorry,
Scoliosis.
yes, I couldn't believe that because you're amazing and I love it. Well done.
Thank
So
you.
you're welcome. You're welcome. So in addition to being a professional dancer, you're also a professional choreographer, as far as I know. What are the areas or concepts that you're most interested in doing, like choreography, and why?
I think the biggest inspiration for me as a choreographer is
Mhm.
real life stories, real life experiences. As a dancer, as you see, I love to storytell. That's why I think I am so drawn to musical theater, the theater element, the telling of a story. Um, Oftentimes in like a company dance setting, um, choreographers don't want you to do too much. They don't want you to overact or again do too much. But I love with theater, you can be honest, but there's a theatrical element to theater. And I
Right.
think with dance and dancers that I enjoy watching and dances that I enjoy creating, there's an element of storytelling. Um, and my most recent work that I did was inspired by a relative of mine who was going through anxiety and depression. And um, the name of the piece is How Did I Get Here? And it's exactly that. It's like the person going through that asks that question because it comes out of nowhere. And yeah, it's just for me pulling from personal experiences.
Hmm.
Another piece that I created on the students of Northwestern University was inspired by the same kind of just heaviness and the trials and tribulations
Hmm.
we go through in life. And the students did such a beautiful job. And it was just really great to be able to work with young dancers and kind of pick their brain and challenge them. And a lot of the piece was also inspired by this idea of being able to go outer space.
Hmm.
I played with this idea of the first person who walked on the moon and that buoyancy you feel. Um, and I think that just was the connection to that was how sometimes you just want to like leave Earth. Um, right. So you see, but I try not to, in the description, give too much away. I want the audience member to take away what they take away. But this piece, this individual, um, goes back and forth between like wanting to be here but then wanting to leave. And in the end there's a joyous celebration because they realize that they do want to keep living and being here. So it really had a beautiful arc and I think something that a lot of people can relate to, or someone that they know has gone through these experiences. So yeah, I tried to use personal experiences. Another duet that I created was about my relationship with my brother. So yeah, I always just pull from things that I can actually pull from, which are personal experiences.
Okay, amazing, amazing. Well, that's very interesting, and um, y- that's what I love actually, because when I was watching some of your videos, actually, I felt that fluence in it. So, and in most of them, apart from being creative and well done, I love them. And my last question for you is about the Black Lives Matter movement. What is your point of view? It's not just you I've asked this question. I've spoken with lots of artists and people all around the world, from Africa, from Europe, from Iran, from Middle East, from everywhere. So the things that the reason that I'm asking you this question, because I came from the country, we have no clue. However, I've been living in Australia over the past 15 years, but I don't know, because it's not a subject or it's not a thing that I've been ever dealt with in my life. So, and I've been learning a lot actually through the conversation that I've had with my guests on my show. But you, because I believe you were born in America, am I right?
Yes, I was born here in
With
America.
different color, or probably the color that it's been always on the spot of being judged. So you tell me, what's your point of view regarding of the question I've asked?
Yeah, it's interesting because my family is from Jamaica. I am first generation American, and my parents, I mean, I was born in the Bronx. As you know, probably, or don't know, those who are listening, the New York is a melting pot. So it seems as if it is diverse and full of culture, which it is. But there's still a history of racism in New York City. And my parents did a really good job with raising me and making sure that I went to schools that were diverse. But I think the first time I realized that I was different was when I started dance, being in a ballet school. And my teacher was white, and most of the students in the school were white. And I also went to a Catholic school for 8 years where it was predominantly white. So my schooling experience was just like the very first time it was like, okay, I'm different. I look different. But I didn't experience racism. I didn't experience any kind of targeting or feel like an odd person until I got older, believe it or not. And just being a dancer of color, I would see posters and images, but the dancers wouldn't look like me, right? The professionals that I saw. So it makes you question, am I going to make it as a dancer because I look like this? I have hair like this. And I remember my uncle was working in the city, and he gave me and my cousin tickets to go see Alvin Ailey. And Alvin Ailey, for those that don't know, he was a modern dance pioneer, Black man who formed his company. And it was the first time I saw dancers that looked like me on stage. Black women, Black men, beautiful muscular bodies, natural hair, braids, bald, all types of looks. And I was like, wow, I want to do this. I can do it now. And that performance is still very vivid in my mind because it was encouraging to see dancers like me on stage looking regal and looking refined and poised, which is not the image we see in the media, which is not what I see when I was growing up in the Bronx. I saw it at home. I saw it within my family, but you walk one block this way, you walk one block that way, you're seeing a whole different thing. It's a jungle. So for me, it was like, again, I knew that there would be challenges, and I would be having to push past boundaries as a dancer of color. But again, I think having scoliosis created a perseverance and endurance within me that made me really strong, and it made me focused because I knew I wanted to dance. And yeah, as I continued to train and I would go off to summer programs, I would be one of maybe 3 people of color, and it did have an effect on me and my self-esteem and my confidence. But I luckily had a supportive tribe. My tribe is my family. And they constantly reminded me that I deserved to be in that room, that I too was a star. I too was good. And you need that reinforcement. You need that encouragement. And I was fortunate enough to have it. And with everything going on in the world, I think there's parallels. Like, we see, especially after the killing of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, we see these big organizations, whether they're dance companies or just regular companies, posting that they are in solidarity with us, that they support Black lives. And it goes beyond just posting an image or a statement. It goes with action. What is your plan to make changes within your organization that maybe in the past have done racist acts or have not treated employees equally? Right. And my hope is that we use this time while we are in quarantine still to reflect and to really analyze, am I following my mission? If I'm an organization that says I'm about diversity, but I have one dancer of color, am I following my mission? Am I doing enough work within the community? Am I giving back to the community? There's just so many things, you know. It goes even in comments made, right? You know, I know some places won't hire dancers because of how their hair looks, or how, if they have one dancer of color, that's enough. If they have one person of color within the organization, that's enough. That isn't enough. We should be reflecting America and America's different shades. We should be mindful of how we speak to people. We should be mindful of the verbiage used. Be mindful of how we're paying our employees if there's a difference. So again, it's nice to just post on Instagram, we support you, but how are you supporting us? What is your plan of action? And that is what I think people of color and not of color, we're exhausted, right? We are tired. We've been through this for decades and decades and decades. My ancestors have already gone through this, and it's, of course, upsetting to see where we are, how divided we are. And, for me, the best I can do is live by example. And I try my best to do that through my foundation. And whenever I step out in the world, whenever I step on stage, I hold my head up and I remind myself that I deserve to be here. I've worked hard to be here. And something that I'm working on is, if something's said to me that is disrespectful, or a term we use here, microaggression, or I feel it's putting me down, I need to speak up. I need to say something. And for many years I didn't, because I didn't want to be seen as a problem. But it's very important to let people know, if they say something to you that is inaccurate or offensive or makes you feel bad, have a discussion with them. Let them know that I didn't really like what you said. I didn't like how it was said to me. This is the time we need to really be having these conversations and not suppressing things. Because by suppressing, we don't solve. So that's something that I'm working on. I had a lot of time to think. It's like, wow, there were some really hurtful things said to me, and I didn't speak up, and I should have. So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I love that, actually, the way that, because whoever I was speaking with and I asked about of this question actually gave me different answers, and that's very, very interesting. It's just like giving me different perspectives and views of what people think. Paige! It was amazing conversation with you, and I am so proud of you, regardless of what skin color you have, what religion, but I don't care. So what I do care is about you and your talent and you being amazing human being. And thank you very much for being here on Borna Kazerani's show. Did you like our conversation?
I did. You asked a lot of questions that I don't typically get asked. So that was great. To speak about things that are current, you know, because we're living through this right now, especially here in the States. It's constant unrest, it's constant updates on the news. And I want to remind people through all of this to find joy, to find a community, to find a tribe, to find breath, to find stillness, because you have to, especially. Absolutely. And I'm so grateful for this conversation. I hope that someone was inspired to breathe, to move their bodies. You know, you never know what people are going through. And again, it's important to really just connect with yourself and connect with others, because then you realize you're not by yourself. So, yay!
Yes. All right. It was amazing conversation. So thank you very much. I hope to see you one day in reality.
I know.
And enjoy your performance. It is ridiculous that we're all locked down here in Australia, but I'm sure it will happen in the future. Thank you so very much, Paige, for your time. I'm going to say goodbye to you and
thank you, Borna.
Be well.
Be well.
You are welcome. Bye.
Bye.